Hi there, I'm Cher Johnston, and in this series of videos, I'm making a slow stitch quilt with some orphan quilt blocks that I inherited from my mother. So first I want to go over some of the things that I'm using because I don't think I've done that before. This is a sashiko thimble that I made. I took one of those button, those button maker buttons. It's metal underneath here. And just a piece of denim. I put some stitching on it and then running stitch around the edge and tightened it up like you would a yo-yo. And I think there's some orts in there to add some substance. And then I just added this um, elastic. I think I'm going to make another one with a smaller elastic band that is closer to the top, because this one is sort of too close, like this rubs my finger. Needs to be up just a little higher. Anyways, but it works. So I have that, and I have my, this is a #1 milliner's needle. I also have a sashiko needle that I use sometimes, but I like this one as well because it's good for knots. And then I have my little needle keep here that I keep, that keeps me from losing my thread, and my little scissors also clamps onto that. I have, these are little 4-inch squares that I'm attaching at the edges for fula. I have a pen that I use. This is one of those heat erasable pens. And from what I understand, if you live in a colder climate, you should be careful with these because it could come back. I live in Southern California. I've never had a problem with it. So I use the pattern on the back of this, these hexes. I drew lines, and I'm doing my stitching in these lines. So you can see there. I think you can see better on this side. Now, the first block that I did, I sewed it all the way around the edges. I decided I don't want to do that because here at the edge, I don't want a line of stitching that shows here on the back side where I had to stitch from one line of stitching to the other. I put it here in this seam allowance. This is going to be covered. I have about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. It's going to not show when I sew the next block on. So a lot of them I went from one seam to the next, or if I ended seams, I tried to do it here in the seam allowance. I also did some seams. I might have to show you that sometime. Next time, maybe. Anyway, oh, the thread that I'm using is sashiko thread. This is the package. I got it on Amazon. If you search for sashiko thread, it was very inexpensive. It's very, very soft. It's a little like DMC threads, but it's softer than that. When you use it to stitch in cotton, it sort of becomes part of the it's part of the fabric now, and it gives a nice gives a wonderful texture to the fabric. So so far I'm really liking the way this is turning out. I'm liking the way it looks. I love the way it feels. If you lived in a if I lived in a cooler climate, I might use quilt batting or just one piece of fabric. They often are done with one piece of fabric between the blocks and the batting. I don't want that. I live in Southern California and I don't really need it for warmth. It's more for comfort. My little kitty loves the blanket that I have that's on the couch now. So I have, this was the first piece that I did. And then I have this one on. Now I have this block that's ready to go. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I did this stitching. So if you like the video, please hit that like button, subscribe to see more, leave me a comment. Thanks for watching. Here's where I'm at. I have my next block. I ironed the seams down. I sewed them down. She's got a teeny tiny seam allowance here. So I just sewed that down. I'm going to remove that stitching later. I picked out some threads here. These are just DMC threads. Picked out a few that go with this center block there. And I'm going to do a combination stitch. I'm going to do a herringbone Cretan stitch. Then I'm going to do, I don't know, some other stitches, which I may do on camera and I may not. So the Cretan half, the top half is going to be a Cretan stitch. I'm going to go take a stitch there, wrap the needle, and pull down. Then for the herringbone portion, I'm going to take a stitch from right to left. And there's my Cretan herringbone stitch. The next stitch that I'm adding here is a looped cast on stitch. I did one there. I'm going to do one on camera. I may or may not do. I'll probably only do one on camera because I don't know, just because. If you are a knitter, you know what it means to cast on. I'm going to wrap the thread around my finger and put it on just like you're casting on a knitting stitch. Again, twist, wrap, pull. Now I'm going to be quiet because I have to count. I'm going to put 20 of these on the needle. You may or may not see all of them because that would just be boring. So there's 3. And 20. All right, now I'm going to hold this for the stitch. It's important that you have a milliner's needle because it's the same length at the eye as it is at the point. All right, I'm just going to tighten that down like that. Stick my needle in there. And then back up. And I'm just going to couch down the top of that. Then I'm going to hold my needle down. I'm hanging it down off the edge of the table so that it unravels. And I'll do one more just in case I went terribly off camera. And 20. And then I'm going to pull the thread through all the way. Now I'm going to do the rest of these off camera and I'll be back. All right, so those are there. Next, I'm going to add some detached chain stitch. I have green DMC thread, 3 strands. And I think I'm going to do this off camera. I'll come back. So there's all my detached chain stitch there. Next, I'm going to take this thread and I'm just going to go across the bottom and I'm going to couch down right between those. I'll finish that, then be back. Okay, there's those little stitches. Next, I'm going to add just some straight stitches. One that goes up. One here. And one here. And I'm going to do this off camera. I'll be back. There are my straight stitches. I think next I'm going to do some beads and sequins. And of course that gets done off camera because it's really fiddly. Oh my gosh, I was just listening to The Doors, Riders on the Storm. That's some good classic rock. Anyway, there's beads. I like this a lot. I'm really liking this. I think I'm going to put some sequins in and I'll be back. Here we are. I put some little sequins on there. If you like my video, please hit the like button, leave me a comment, subscribe for more. I'll be right back. All right, well, that's it for me. I couldn't decide which of those 2 sequins I should use, so I decided to alternate them. And then for my granddaughter, there's the back. I will attach this in my next video and let you see. But that's all for now.